Number 10. Hunter Prince. Hunter is the son of Wonder Woman from an alternate timeline. He first appeared in the 2016 Justice League story arc called Legacy. It's a 6-part story starting in issue 26 that allows us to meet the children of some of the original team from an alternate timeline. Hunter himself appears to be armed with his mother's lasso of truth, her bracelets of submission, and her razor-sharp tiara. Hunter was adopted and raised by the Kents, growing up alongside Superman and Lois' son, John Kent. Number 9. KYMERA. KYMERA is the daughter of Storm from the alternate Earth of 13729. The same reality that Raze hails from, actually, weirdly enough. The identity of KYMERA's father has never been confirmed, but many believe that she's the daughter of Storm's frequent love interest, Black Panther, which would be pretty cool, and I think is what we all want to happen here. We don't normally get to see what these two's future children would look or be like, so yeah. KYMERA is a mutant like her mother and first appeared in Wolverine in the X-Men issue 36. She was created by Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness, and she possesses telepathic powers which allow her to communicate with and influence animals. She's also an expert tracker, which implies to me that she's either the daughter of Black Panther or possibly also of Wolverine. A reality where Wolverine is kids with both Mystique and Storm though seems really intense, so I'll just leave that in your mind.
Number 8. Damian Wayne. The son of Batman and Talia al Ghul, made his debut back in Batman, Son of the Demon in 1987. And he was perfect. I mean, genetically speaking, he was perfect. He was born from an artificial womb and he was supposed to join the League of Assassins and be a great warrior. That was his life, just laid out, there you go. Which doesn't sound like a bad itinerary. Having a powerful skill set in martial arts before he was even a teenager, Talia al Ghul explained who he was and then left him with his father, Batman. I mean, she was hoping that this would cause problems for Bruce, and then that this would disrupt Batman's work. You know, getting the little one to spy on Batman, stir up some shit with Tim Drake. He was actually quite eager to replace Tim Drake as Batman's wingman, so troubled Damian Wayne grabs another Robin costume, added some cool League of Assassins gear, and then takes out the villain Spook. Does he arrest him? Report his Instagram? No. He actually cuts his head right off his body, so that's certainly one way of serving up justice. Guy's wild. At one point, he even ended up sucker punching Tim Drake off of a T-Rex model, not a real T-Rex. Don't worry. And of course, after Batman RIP and Batman Battle for the Cowl, he becomes the 5th Robin.
Number 7. UR-ZOD. Superboy. UR-ZOD is actually more of a clone than a flesh and blood child, created from partial genetic templates of Wonder Woman and Lord Superman's DNA. Lord Superman, you say? That's right. In this story, Superman is an evil tyrant and Wonder Woman marries him to help bring peace between warring factions. Wonder Woman has stayed behind with Lord Batman, leaving her home universe as the two are in love. Lord Batman was leading the war of liberation against Superman and is eventually killed. Lord Superman and Wonder Woman hate each other deeply, but you know, they get married to kind of make this bond happen, and so they produce a son through genetic engineering to kind of cement the peace between the two sides. It's a really weird way to settle things, probably put a lot of pressure on the kid, but who am I to judge? He's also known as Superboy.
Number 6. Red She-Hulk. So this mysterious character just showed up when the Red Hulk gathered a team to hunt down Domino. So while Wolverine was fighting Red Hulk, he like scratched his eyes out, which is a mess, and then just as Wolverine was about to finish him off, bam! Red She-Hulk comes in to save the day, and she's fierce. Like right off the bat, she taunts Wolverine by showing him her fancy new outfit that used to belong to Domino. Like she had Domino's gun, she had Elektra's sai, and then she bragged about how she killed the two and took their weapons and clothes. So she's kind of a hot mess. She held off the fight long enough for Red Hulk to recuperate, and then unbeknownst to Red Hulk until later on, the identity of the new mysterious Red Badass is actually none other than Betty Ross. General Ross became the Red Hulk and was an Avenger at one point, so his daughter, Betty, naturally also became the Red She-Hulk. Now, I know what I said about her earlier makes her sound like an absolute savage. In some of these comics, yeah, she is. She even killed the Hulk in Incredible Hulk 634, so you gotta check more of her out. Her powers are pretty nuts. During the scrap with Wolverine, she spat in his face, which is yucky. First of all, we don't do that anymore, 6 feet apart, people. But secondly, her saliva is acid. So she grabbed Red Hulk and they both ducked out in the sewers while his eyes melted. Yuck.
Number 5. WARHAWK. WARHAWK is the future son of Green Lantern John Stewart and Hawkgirl from the DCAU, DC Animated Universe. He first appeared in the animated series Batman Beyond and was created by Paul Dini and Alan Burnett. WARHAWK's real name is Rex Stewart, and he was named after one of John's friends from the military, Rex Mason, who would later become the Element Man, Metamorpho, in the DCAU. In an alternate timeline, WARHAWK is shown to have teamed up with Static and future Batman Terry McGinnis, as well as old Bruce Wayne.
Coming in number 4, we have Cable. I mean, how do we make a list of children of X-Men and even think about leaving out Cable? Cable is the son of Scott Summers, better known as Cyclops, and the very powerful telepath Madeline Pryor, who's the evil clone of Jean Grey. See, Scott thought he was gonna have a baby with Jean, but it was a trick! There's so many tricky babies in comic books. Well, they had a baby, and that baby became insanely powerful, one of the most powerful telepaths, and then he becomes a skilled soldier, and then he goes back in time to work with his dad and sometimes against his dad. It's a very complicated situation. He also gets some sort of technovirus put into him, and it makes it harder for him to use his powers because he has to constantly use his mind to fight off the technovirus. And he gets cloned, and his clone is evil and has no virus. And he's buddies with Deadpool. The two of them work together in a straight man stooge double act kind of thing.
Number 3, Terry McGinnis. Alright, imagine you're going for your flu shot, and then it turns out it's actually not a flu shot, and it's actually Bruce Wayne's DNA. I mean, after I got the flu, I would have some questions, that's for sure. And I can like chop people in the necks. Like, what's going on here? I feel sick, but I'm great at backflips. Project Cadmus director Amanda Waller was out looking for an eventual replacement for Batsy. So she figured she'd get started on Project Batman Beyond, and the key, well, Batman's blood samples left over from his altercations. That mixed in with some nanotech solutions, bam, we have the DNA of Bruce Wayne. So she was out looking for the perfect couple to, force this life onto, and then found that the McGinnis household was perfect. So Ward McGinnis goes for a flu shot, and then he doesn't even know he's soon going to be the father of a biological Bruce Wayne. Surprise, it's a boy. No, for sure, it's a boy, trust me.
Number 2. Bruce Kent. Bruce is the son of Superman and Wonder Woman, and appeared in Superman Distant Fires in 1998. He became the last son of Earth, as he was sent off into space by Superman using a makeshift starship at the end of the whole story. Superman Distant Fires features a world in conflict. Armageddon has occurred, with entire populations wiped out, and radiation has robbed Earth's heroes and villains of their superpowers. Clark Kent is one of the few survivors of this apocalypse, fighting off giant rats and atomic mutants without any superpowers. He eventually meets another group of survivors that includes Flash, Bill Batson, and even the Joker, who has been cured of his insanity as everyone has lost their powers. Wonder Woman is there too, and the two are married and have the child Bruce together.
And finally at number 1, we got Scar. Making his debut in World War Hulk issue 5, he was conceived during the Planet Hulk storyline. He's a son of Hulk and KYMERA the Old Strong. After Hulk had spent time on Sakaar, he also started spending a little bit of alone time, So after Hulk had left the planet, Sakaar had popped out of a cocoon and he resembled a teenager after just a year, so growing pretty fast. Now, given the fact he was born to a not so chill planet, he learned to kill like it was a normal thing. Well, he needed to kill for survival. Eventually, he ends up on Axman Bone's radar. So Scar retains the old power as well, so he has the ability to control tectonic energy, like summon lava and magma, and he can also tap into energy projection. Out of the many children of the Hulk, Scar easily takes the top of that list, and also the top of this list as well, because he's here, so there it is.
Coming in at number 10, we have Rays. I love when we start getting alternate universe stuff because that's when things really get crazy. You can mix and match and get all sorts of super combinations that you want. And in this case, we have Wolverine and Mystique getting busy and making a baby that has both their powers. Rays is the combination of two heroes to make one of the best spies of all time. Because the thing about Mystique is you can break into almost anywhere because of your ability to shapeshift. But you're at high risk of getting killed because you don't have any sort of protection outside of your hand-to-hand combat and skills with weapons. But then you mix in Wolverine's healing factor and some razor sharp claws, and you have a soldier who can sneak into any place and take out the competition like no one else on the squad. While Rays might not be the most powerful mutant of all time, you can't deny the utility and subtlety that someone like Rays could bring to the table. I don't know if Rays is a fitting enough name for someone who can sneak around and kill someone with claws. They should be called badgers Badger, or Sneaky Badger, or Mongoose.
Number 9, the Huntress. Making her first appearance in All-Star Comics issue 69, nice, back in 1977, Helena is a badass lawyer for Cranston, Grayson, and Wayne. But of course, that's not all. Earth 2 is home to the daughter of Batman and Catwoman. When she was only 19 years old, her mother, Selina Kyle, who used to be Catwoman, died in a tragic mishap. And to add insult to injury, literally, the henchman, Silky Cernak, was the reason behind a photo that came out that shows Selina Kyle as Catwoman murdering a police officer. So of course, Helena was pretty pissed and wanted to go make things right. So she took a page out of her parents' book and became the Huntress. She went after Silky Smooth Cernak and got him arrested. And her mother, turns out, didn't even kill anybody. That photo was tampered with. Hashtag photoshopped. She kept the suit and attitude and eventually wound up on the Justice Society of America. See, if you want the truth, guys, you just gotta get a super persona and then throw bad guys in nets. It's that easy.
Number 8, Stephanie Trevor, aka Wonder Girl. Like the last entry, Stephanie was born to Diana and Steve Trevor in 1953, the same year Clark Kent and Lois Lane also had a daughter. Also called Wonder Girl, she is half Amazon thanks to her mother's heritage and possesses half of her mother's superhuman strength. She made her big debut as Wonder Girl when her fellow superheroes were held hostage in Central City. After working together to defeat 3 villains, her and some other heroes like Kid Flash and Supergirl form up their own superhero group called the Justice League of America. She has excellent combat skills and is bound by the same rules as Wonder Woman, such as losing her powers if her bracelets are bound by a man. This would suggest that she has visited Paradise Island in the past, or perhaps been trained by the Amazons, but that is never explicitly stated. Later in life, she takes over the role of Wonder Woman and becomes chairperson of the Justice League of America.
Number 7, Franklin Richards. Born in New York City, Franklin Richards, of course being the son of Reed Richards and Susan Storm, is quoted from Galactus himself as the most powerful mutant ever. Nice, that's it. Put that on a resume. Boop, that's sick. He is a mutant beyond Omega power. You heard it from Big Guns himself. See, Franklin was a member of Gen X, and he's also a future X-Men member in the Ultimate X-Men comics. Some of his powers include vast reality warping, psionic powers. He also has control over the universe, so awesome. He's got precognitive powers, so his dreams tip him off on what's gonna happen in real life. That happens to me, except it's always embarrassing, and they end up happening. He can see the future in his dreams. That's so OP. He can resurrect the dead, he can time travel, teleport, astral project, and he can duplicate planets and or people. So yeah, ego, living planet. You're doomed either way, pal. At a young age, he was able to create a pocket universe, and then in Fantastic Four issue 604, this dude even took on not 1, not 2, but 3 Celestials. One of them he actually just took out with 1 punch. 1 punch, man. 1 punch, man. Huh. Needless to say, Franklin Richards is not somebody you want to mess with in any of his pocket universes. Franklin has a middle name, and that's Benjamin, which is nice because they named him after their good pal, Ben Grimm, the Thing. My middle name's Douglas.
Number 6, Connor Hawke. Green Arrow has had quite a few kids, even just in the main continuity. One of the most famous, however, is Connor Hawke, his natural-born son by his girlfriend Sandra Moonday Hawke. Connor would grow up to become the second Green Arrow following the apparent death of his father. His mother raised him by herself, teaching him about who his father was and telling him that she did love his father dearly. Connor first met his father when he was studying at the Ashram Monastery, the same monastery he knew his father had retreated to years ago. Oliver once more was doing just that and visited the monastery again after Black Canary had broken up with him. The adventure these two ended up going on didn't end so well though, as Green Arrow was made aware of Connor's true identity and connection to him before Connor had found the right time to confess that he was his son. Yikes. Shortly thereafter, Green Arrow died and Connor took up his father's mantle, becoming friends with the new Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, just like his dad was friends with Hal Jordan. And so cute. Number 5, Shogo. Shogo Lee is the son of Jubilee, and while he might just be a baby currently, he's still been a powerhouse recently in the comics. Shogo was adopted by Jubilee after he was orphaned by a meteor strike. Sounds random, but it actually tied into stuff. Anyways, for Jubilee, adopting Shogo was very important and a big part of her growing up as a character. As far as we know, Shogo is not immune like his mom, but he did have some pretty cool powers while in Otherworld. His imagination combined with fairy magic granted him the ability to turn into a dragon while in Otherworld. A mother freaking dragon. A dragon. So yeah, he is basically a dragon whenever he's there in Otherworld, which makes him pretty powerful while on those planes. Saturnine herself also took a shining to him, and he was instrumental during the fight at the end of the Ten of Swords event.
Number 4, Bruce Wayne Jr. Coming straight from one of the most wild comic book issues ever, we have Batman and Captain America. That's right, back in 1977, we see Bruce Wayne Jr., the son of Batman, and, well, we don't really know who the mother is. I'm sure she's great though, I'm sure she's awesome. His uncle, being that of Dick Grayson, was always admired by Bruce Wayne Jr. I mean, of course, look at him, I admire him, I didn't even know this guy. As a child, he would dress up in his uncle's Robin suit and do some at-home workouts. Punch, punch, kick, kick, bam, you know? The good stuff, some Zumba fitness, you know, getting a feel for the suit, which personally, I wouldn't take that suit off if I had access to it. That thing would stink all the time, gross. So by the time he was 18, he actually worked alongside the new Batman, Dick Grayson. Then after the passing of Batman, Bruce Wayne Jr. swapped outfits and stepped in to take over as Batman. So sick. It's kind of like in Santa Claus when Tim Allen puts on the suit. It's go time. Also, this issue has the smoothest transition when Captain America first shows up. It goes from Batman and Robin jumping out of the way from a bomb, and then cuts to Cap in an explosion with him, like the same kind of fire. Little details like that just capture me. So good. So good.
Number 3, Lara. First appearing in March 2002, Lara is the future Supergirl, daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman. She has both Kryptonian and Amazon powers inherited from her parents. She grew up on Paradise Island, not knowing much of her father, as her parents wanted to protect her from the likes of Lex Luthor and Brainiac, as Superman knew they would wind up trying to control her. Later in life, she does eventually reveal herself during an open war against Brainiac, and she helps to defeat him. She played a pivotal role in the battle against Quar, tossing him directly into the sun to prevent him from performing a nuclear self-destruct that would likely have destroyed the entire Earth. 2 months later, we discovered that she actually survived this event and is living with her brother in downtown Metropolis.
Number 2, Vision, the son of Iron Man and Banner. In Captain America Civil War, we see the fallout of Tony and Cap begin. See, after creating an evil robot son who wants nothing but destruction, Tony figures, well, maybe if I make another one, the new body and Mind Stone will kind of be good. And it did, it was pretty sweet, and he kicks ass. Vision started out as his android that belonged to Tony Stark, and then by time Infinity War, Banner says the line, "You lost another Superbot?" And then Tony responds with, "I didn't lose him, he's evolving." So this is an interesting time in the MCU. Vision is like the son of Iron Man, and then after we lost him, I knew there would be more. Even in this poster, there's a glitch, a little speck of color left in it. In Infinity Gauntlet, we see a colorless Vision after he meets a similar demise. So when that poster was released, I figured there was a part of him that was downloaded and left somewhere, because Marvel doesn't just make printing errors. I don't know why we didn't look into this more. So with WandaVision releasing on Disney Plus next year, this could become reality. Who knows where the baby Avenger will end up, but I'm excited and also very nervous. Please be okay.
Number 1, John Kent, or Superboy. But of course, there are just so many Superboys, I feel like calling him John is a little less confusing, though as you've already seen, there are also many versions even of Jonathan Kent as well. We already had another one on this list. This version is kind of the son of Superman and Lois though. He was born during Convergence, and he as a baby and his parents later ended up living on a different Earth than the one that they originally inhabited because of the New 52 reset. As there were already a version of Superman and Lois Lane on this Earth, they decided to go undercover to avoid getting in the way and adopted the surname White for a time. They were the Whites. John grew up relatively normally, but was always somewhat suspicious of his parents' activities. Eventually, the cat was out of the bag when John's powers manifested, and his parents told him the truth about who they really were. The cat wasn't just out of the bag though, the household cat was also accidentally killed by John's heat vision. So yes.
Kicking off the list at number 10, Bruce Wayne Jr. Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane. In issue 89, we see the front cover and it's Lois Lane marrying Bruce Wayne. It rhymes, so you know it's a good one. And then to the left we see Superman, and he's just thrilled. He's awesome. He's glad to be there. So we haven't upset Lois Lane right off the hop. She's pissed at Superman because he keeps going on these secret missions with Wonder Woman. And then on the same page mind you, just a little bit lower, it shows her with Bruce Wayne, and she's loving it. She's like, damn, Bruce is attractive. What? She's like on his shoulders, they're wakeboarding in the sunset. It's beautiful. So naturally they have a baby. I mean, come on, Bruce rocking the green Speedo. obviously. I love this issue. Superman is like, hey dude, no sweat. You actually have my blessing. Go for it. You got it. Then the next panel, he's like, oh, I blew it. It's so good. The baby, of course, being Bruce Wayne Jr.
Number 9. HIPPOLYTA TREVOR, aka Fury. First appearing in Wonder Woman number 300 in 1983. She is the daughter of Princess Diana and her husband Steve Trevor. She was born with superhuman abilities like her mother, and named after her grandmother, Queen of the Amazons. She was trained by her mother and became a notable crime fighter, and her father was a respected military leader. In early childhood, she wanted to join the Justice Society of America, but was refused as she was too young and untested. Instead, she and other rejected members, such as Power Girl and Huntress, decided to form their own group known as Infinity Inc. At one point, the Justice Society is possessed by the stream of ruthlessness and sort of become evil, and the youths of Infinity Inc. prove themselves to be plenty old enough for superheroing and defeat their elder heroes. After a crisis on Infinite Earths, Fury has her history retconned as she was rewritten as the daughter of the All-Star Squadron's Fury, Helena Cosmatos. Interestingly, this other version of Fury still winds up getting trained by Wonder Woman.
Number 8. Ultron. In the MCU, Tony and Bruce are the masterminds behind Ultron. But in the comics, it was actually Hank Pym. See, Ultron made his first debut back in 1968 in Avengers 54, and beneath the crimson cowl we discover is indeed Ultron Pym. I love how in Age of Ultron they used a red cowl to hide his new and improved look. It was a nice reveal. In the comics, Hank Pym was actually the father of Ultron, so there's been many versions of Ultron, seeing as he constantly wants to upgrade himself and be bigger, badder, and bolder. He actually has the same brain patterns as Hank Pym. He figured it needed a personality, much like our MCU version of Ultron is basically Tony Stank, but with more, you know, metal, rage, fire, and blood and horribleness.
Number 7. Serenity. Serenity is the daughter of Aquaman and Mera in the alternate timeline that is explored in Justice League's Legacy story arc. We learned that although she was close to and loved her mother, she has a much strained relationship with her father, who also appears as a villain opposing the Legacy team of heroes. Eldris Curry's outfit seems to be inspired by both her father and mother and her Atlantean heritage. She also has been shown to possess super strength, teleportation, and water manipulation powers.
Coming in at number 6, we have X-23, the most famous child of Wolverine and certainly one of the most deadly. X-23, also known as Laura Kinney, is the clone of Wolverine but also kind of his daughter. It's a little bit of a weird backstory. She's a clone, but she wasn't grown in a tube like most clones are, or I think they are. I don't know a lot about science. But she was actually grown in someone's womb, so that pretty much makes her a baby like any other baby, but she was for sure a clone. Are you confused? It's comic books, that's just how things are sometimes. But she's got all of her daddy's powers and she can cut you down faster than a Vitamix blender. She can show that she can be a prolific Wolverine replacement, since after Logan dies she steps into the role as the new Wolverine and starts taking dudes out just like her old pa. And something very interesting about this character is that the first time she showed up, it wasn't actually in comics, but it was in the TV show called X-Men Evolution, which was about a bunch of teenage versions of the X-Men all going to school together and having school problems, you know, and school stuff.
Number 5. Damian Wayne. Brave and the Bold edition. There we are. Damian Wayne is the son of Bruce and Catwoman, but this time in the Knights of Tomorrow, where he's voiced by Patrick Kavanagh and Diedrich Bader. So while Bruce was looking at baby Wayne, Bruce realized that his son would one day have to take on crime lords. That's so funny to me. Like, superhero context aside, just looking at a baby and being like, oh yeah, you're gonna punch like 900 people in the throat one day. I can see it. It's amazing. After witnessing the death of his parents, he grabbed one of the 2 Robin outfits on display at the Batman Museum, and Bob's your uncle. You know the rest.
Number 4. Donna of Amazon, aka Fury. This is Fury's new and improved version from DC's New 52. Her name is Donna, daughter of Wonder Woman and the new god Steppenwolf of Apocalypse. She is the last of the Amazons, as all the rest of them died during the invasion of Earth 2. She acted as Steppenwolf's main enforcer until Mr. Miracle convinces her to join forces. She is super powerful, having gone toe-to-toe with Big Barda and even Supergirl. After the events of Convergence, She becomes the Wonder Woman of Earth 2. She's a little more violent and warlike than her mother. At the end of Earth 2 society, she uses Pandora's box to reshape Earth 2 into a classic Golden Age era World War II setting, but with fancy technology and the absence of any international crises or supervillains.
Number 3, Scotty Summers. Making his debut in Mutant X issue 1 back in 1998, Scotty Summers is the son of Avengers member HAWKE and Madeline Pryor. The Inferno event is probably the most noted piece of his history. See, they wanted to use Scotty Summers as a sacrifice in order to open up a portal to the Goblin Force. Madeline saved him, but in doing so, she became possessed by the Goblin Queen. This was when he showed his true power. That power just happens to be up there with Franklin Richards. Celestial level, baby. He's the best. He has soul sense empathy, so he has the ability to sense the goodness in others without even touching them. And on top of that, he can read minds, so it doesn't matter how you feel or think, Scotty already knows. And Psionic Firebird is pretty wild too. He can turn into a psychic firebird whose claws can harm you physically and or mentally. Nice.
Number 2, Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne is the very stubborn son of Batman and sometimes ally, but mostly villain, Talia al Ghul. Damian spent his formative years growing up with his mother, and as such was a trained and egotistical killer and jerk when he was dropped on Bruce's doorstep. However, over time he has learned restraint and discipline and has worked to earn the pride he initially felt as being the son of Batman. While Batman has many children technically, as in a way most of his Robins are kinda like his foster kids, Damian covets the title of the son of Batman, being his naturally born heir. Number 1, Daken. Daken is definitely one of the most iconic X-Men kids, I believe. Although, obviously X-23 is also up there. I'm sorry that I just dissed her by putting Daken above her. And he's a really well-known X-Men kid, despite the fact that he has major daddy issues. Daken is now all grown up and is currently part of the X-Factor team, but he has been all over the place when it comes to his alignment since he was first introduced in the comics in Wolverine Origins issue number 10. We've seen him as both a villain working against his father, even trying to kill him. We've seen him take on the Punisher alongside the Dark Avengers, acting as Osborn's assassin. We've seen him tangle even with the likes of Deadpool and be manipulated by the lovable and very unstable Mirth, but he's also acted heroically from time to time, and now seems to be more on the side of those things with X-Factor. Though then again, Krakoa is a place for all mutants, so it's not like him being a bad boy would ever mean that he'd get kicked off the team. And when it comes to mutant bad boys, Daken is definitely one of the baddest. I need to do a mutant bad boy list so I can put him at the top.
Number 10. The Wonder Woman family? Wonder Woman has a history. During her teenage years, she was known as Wonder Girl, and as a child, Wonder Tot. On Earth 124.1, advanced technology allowed for all 3 versions of Wonder Woman to exist at the same time. They frequently appeared together as the Wonder Woman family, along with her original mother, the Wonder Queen. Wonder Girl is introduced in Wonder Woman number 107, and later in issue 113 they introduce Wonder Tot. After asking comic fans to write in letters if they like what they're seeing and they want some more, the creators got a lot of positive feedback and thus created the Wonder Woman family in issue number 124. While not technically Wonder Woman's babies, they definitely deserve a mention. They had a great run until issue number 158, at which point writer Robert Kanigher summoned the entire supporting cast of the Wonder Woman comic to his office to let them know things were going to be going in a new direction. That actually happens in the comic.
Coming in at number 9, we have Lyra. Taking place on Earth 8009, beginning with Hulk Raging Thunder issue 1. We find Lyra Walters, or sometimes referred to as Savage She-Hulk. She is the daughter of Thundra and Earth 616 Hulk. So yeah, she's from Earth 8009 in the 23rd century, and at that time the Earth was split into different factions, right? So the guys faction were like warriors, they looked up to like past heroes. Then the women came together under the United Sisterhood Republic, and they were outgunned and outmanned, like literally outmanned. So Thundra got sent to Earth, our Earth 616, where she met our Hulk, and had a baby. How cute. Lyra actually gets stronger when she's calm, and she's able to tap into the gamma sight, which means she can see the flow of gamma radiation. I'm doing my best interpretation of gamma radiation. Can't see the green, but it's a lot of gamma behind me. So she becomes a smarter and smoother fighter in this state. But if she becomes angry, she'll actually become weaker, which is fun. Let's play with that idea of it.
Number 8, HYPERMAN. HYPERMAN is the son of Superman and Wonder Woman from the alternate reality of Kingdom Come. He is also raised in part by Batman, who is basically like his godfather until he was kidnapped and spirited away. After the heroes rescued him, the child seemingly disappeared, but we would later learn this is because he was actually raised by an older version of himself who resides within Hypertime. Young Jonathan Kent, as fate would have it, was destined to become the guardian of Hypertime, which pretty much means he was considered powerful and important enough to be the guardian of the pathways of the multiverse. Or the pathways to the multiverse, you know, lots of spacey stuff, lots of spacey Grant Morrison stuff. Number 7. Rogue. Rogue is the daughter of Mystique and Destiny. Well, adopted daughter anyways, but they were both definitely more influential in the raising of Rogue than our own biological parents, so I consider them more of her parents than our actual parents, I guess? They are her actual parents. That's it. Before she ran away as a teenager, Rogue was raised in a hippie commune by her father and aunt after her mother disappeared. After she'd left, she ended up being approached by Mystique, who was told to seek her out by her long-term partner, Destiny. Rogue joined the two of them and they raised her like their own daughter. While Rogue is super awesome and powerful, Mystique is rarely associated with the X-Men, which is why Rogue ranks so low on this list. Basically, she's paying for her mother's generally more villainous tendencies, which has also factored into her story in the comics many times before. Poor Rogue. And also, honestly, poor Mystique.
Number 6. Ibn al-Zufash. Definitely messed up that name, but we're doing our best here. It translates to Son of the Bat. Making his first appearance in Kingdom Come issue 2, Mark Waid and Alex Ross did such a good job. The artwork is absolutely stunning in this epic series. Ibn is the son of Batman and Talia al Ghul. See, Talia kept Ibn as a secret from the Dark Knight. Then later on in life, he basically had to choose what kind of lifestyle he wanted for himself. You know, either go the way of his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul, or follow the steps of his father, Batman. Now, of course, he chose the Bat and took his own grandfather down. That a boy, nice. One time I told my family my grandpa was smoking inside and then I got grounded. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Glad it worked well for him. Awesome. Ibn played a little differently though. I mean, he used his grandfather's resources to do good. He eventually winds up falling in love with Nightstar, daughter of Dick Grayson, and Starfire.
Number 5. Etta and Vicky Trevor. These two appear in Wonder Woman Amazonia in 1998. They're only children in the story, and they only appear in a couple of scenes, but they're still Wonder Woman's children. This is a tragic version of the beloved Wonder Woman story. When Diana was only 3, a Royal Air Marines squadron led by Captain Stephen Trevor crash lands in the ocean and they discover Paradise Island. They slaughter the Amazonians and take Diana away, who is later sold to a workhouse. She grows up on the streets of London in a poor district. Later in life, Stephen Trevor, wicked and evil in this universe, takes her in off of the streets and into his museum of oddities, and he also marries her. He was abusive and unkind to her. She once saved the life of King Jack Planters and later adopts the heroic persona of Wonder Woman, secretly organizing a resistance against Jack the Ripper and his men, the cruel King Jack of England, a misogynist who suspended women's rights and established a harsh patriarchy. It's a seriously dark alternate universe. She eventually takes down the evil king and her crappy husband, who ends up going insane, and she marries the king's son later, Prince John Charles. It's a real roller coaster that sort of has a happy ending.
And number 4, Valeria Richards. The second child, as you would have guessed, by Reed Richards and Susan Storm. She made her debut in Fantastic Four Volume 3, Issue 54. Valeria is also so badass like her brother. She may not be as powerful as her brother, you know, with the whole Omega level pocket universe jazz, but she's super smart, smarter than her dad even. Pretty sick. She's also more into working alongside her uncle, Victor Von Doom. There's always the cool uncle everybody loves, you know? Can't help it, just too cool. Hashtag too cool for school. She believes that Reed also never really used his knowledge to help people. Rather, he just did things for himself, which is a common theme in superhero worlds. Donning the nickname Brainstorm in the meantime, hopefully we get to see her sometime soon.
Number 3. Fury. Originally, HIPPOLYTA Trevor was known to be the daughter of Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, born from their marriage and first appearing in Wonder Woman issue 300. Weirdly enough, one of the first interactions we see with her and her mother is her training with a giant metal ball and asking for advice from another version of Wonder Woman, who is also joining Diana and Steve for dinner and is currently the main continuity Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman that is Lita's mother is from Earth 2, the original Wonder Woman in terms of comic continuity. I also love older Wonder Woman in this with her like gray streak in her hair. So cool. Steve Trevor looks creepy though. He's got a creepy face. He's like, I'm 60 now. Why do you look so creepy, Steve Trevor? Why?
Coming in at number 2, we have Legion. If you're Professor X's kid, you know you're going to be extremely powerful, and you would think you would be raised by the perfect dad and have one of the best fathers around. Well, even though Xavier is good at raising kids that he has no blood connection to, he isn't that good at making a strong connection with his own son. Part of it is just bad parenting, and the other part is Legion is a lot to deal with even for the most powerful, responsible, and well-adjusted parents on the planet. See, Legion isn't just one mutant. He has split personalities that live in his body, and each one of them has their own mutation. So Legion can switch from personality to personality and change his power. That's a pretty serious combination of abilities that probably work really well together. Well, here's the thing. You don't need his powers to work together because several of these mutants are Omega level. And when I say several, I mean around 200. And even the ones that aren't strong enough to wipe out existence itself, which Legion has done more than once, they are still strong enough to create an amazing storm of chaos. And there are new powers and personalities being created all the time inside Legion's body. Rogue was inside Legion's mind once, and she said there were over 1,000 personalities with new ones being born.
And finally, number 1, Bruce Wayne Jr. We go over now to the 1965 version of Bruce Wayne Jr. making his debut in World's Finest issue 154. He's the son of Catherine Kane and Bruce Wayne Sr. He's part of the badass duo referred to as the Super Sons, and that name is pretty perfect for the gang. Sided by Superman Jr., the two would grow up together. And the opening of the issue shows them both reading about their fathers and their super achievements. It's really cute. They even get married on the same day. It's wild. Bad boys for life. My favorite part though is seeing the two interact with Superman Jr.'s powers. There's one point where Superman Jr. wouldn't let Batman Jr. down from a teeter-totter. He said, "I won't let you down until you admit my dad has caught more crooks than your dad." The classic "my dad can totally beat your dad up" scenario. The Super Sons eventually figured out their existence was a sham, and they were just a computer simulation all along. But aren't we all in a simulation? Kicking off the list at number 10, we have Ultimate Red Skull. Making his debut in the Ultimate Comics Avengers 1 back in 2009, Ultimate Red Skull is a lot different than the Red Skull casual moviegoers would have guessed at this point. See, the son of Steve Rogers, yes, and Gail Richards. They even hid him and trained him to become the next Captain America. It's wild. The Ultimates are wild. He always feared that he would never live up to his father's expectations. I mean, fair. At just age 17, he killed all the doctors and soldiers at the military base. He was in charge, and his side hustle was planning this badass escape in the meantime. He then got the haunting look by using a kitchen knife and carving his head. So that's disgusting. Nice gross way to kick off this list.
Number 9, AQUABABY. Arthur Curry Jr. is also known as AQUABABY and is the main continuity child of both KYMERA and King Aquaman. Or he was anyways. He went on a few adventures with his parents but was tragically kidnapped by Black Manta and suffocated to death before either of his parents could save him. Due to the fact that he was Atlantean, AQUABABY was unable to breathe out of water for a prolonged period of time. The death of baby Arthur is what drove a wedge between his parents, eventually causing them to separate. Though Arthur and Mera seem to be once again getting hitched, so perhaps we will also see a return of AQUABABY, or more likely some other version of the character reintroduced to us. And before we move on to our number 8 spot, I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and if you want to help us out at the channel, you can do so by giving this video a thumbs up. It really does help.
Coming in at number 8, we have Megan Frost. I don't know what it is with Scott Summers, but it seems that he has a thing for telepaths, or they have a thing for him. I'm not sure which way the pendulum swings, but either way, he has a few kids via telepaths. This time, it would be him and Emma Frost who would hook up and make Megan Frost. Megan comes to the table with a host of powers from her parents. She's got her dad's psionic blast, and she's got her mama's telepathy. She also has a host of telekinetic powers, so it would seem that Scott Summers might have some hidden telekinetic powers in his genes because his other kids do as well. Now on the downside, Megan didn't get her mom's diamond skin, which is one of her most legendary powers, but she makes up for this by training hard in hand-to-hand combat to the level where she could knock out anyone who might be able to sneak by her telepathy and get within punching range.
Number 7, Thomas Taylor Wayne. Wow, what a great middle name. Best name ever, I heard. I don't know. Wild. Thomas Taylor Wayne is the son of Batman and Supergirl, Lara Wayne. In Superman and Batman Generation 3, he was born in the year 2626, and spoiler alert, he dies in 2724. In this generation's imaginary series by John Byrne, we see Thomas Wayne's parents as immortal. which is always a nice time. Meaning that Lara is Bruce's great-granddaughter by adoption, and Thomas is both Bruce's son and great-grandson. Huh.
Wow.
Number 6. Jonathan Kent II. Jonathan is the son of Wonder Woman and Superman in a reality known as the Kingdom. John was kidnapped on the day of his birth by Gog, who went back in time to destroy Superman at various points throughout history. Gog held Jonathan hostage inside a chunk of kryptonite, and though he is later rescued by Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, he seemed to vanish, and the gang felt like their efforts time traveling to save him were in vain. However, he actually just slipped into hypertime, where he was watched over by an older version of himself, who is now the guardian of hypertime. It's like manifest destiny. After this revelation, the infant Jonathan was returned to his parents so that they could raise him to become the hero that they have already bore witness to.
Number 5, Stinger, aka Cassie Lang. This one I think we actually might see in the MCU sooner than we think, so yes. The daughter of Scott Lang, aka Ant-Man, is one of my favorite parts of the Ant-Man films. She's so cute, she's funny, the way they interact, it's just good. It's a nice father-daughter relationship that we kind of saw with Morgan and Tony, but it was just nicer, and this lasted much longer. So in the comics, she actually took over for her father after his death and Avengers Disassembled. Now, I don't think Paul Rudd's gonna leave the MCU anytime soon, but if/when he does, I think they've shown enough growth of Cassie Lang, literally, that they can have her suit up now. I mean, who knows, maybe after he supposedly blipped, Cassie wanted to like avenge him and stuff. We didn't really see a lot of that side. Even in the comics, she was asked by Scarlet Witch to join the Young Avengers. Then she donned the name Stinger after she died and came back to life. Now, while I don't think this exactly is gonna happen anytime soon in the movies, I'm getting an idea that she works alongside Scott Lang in the next movie. That's my prediction. See, Scott watched Hank and Hope play catch up during this franchise. She practically begged him to get her own suit, but Hank's like, no, or Michael Douglas said no like 1,000 times, he yelled a lot too. Scott probably saw this and knew it was gonna happen eventually with him and Cassie, right? So we had that little time jump in Endgame, now we've got an older Cassie in a world that's pretty dangerous. Maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Number 4, Cruz. The crazy thing about Nora Allen is that she isn't even the only child to come from these two League members. Nora Allen is part of the Justice League Legacy team, which Hunter Prince is also a part of from an alternate timeline, which Hunter Prince and Serenity of course are also part of from an alternate timeline. She is the daughter of Green Lantern Jessica Cruz and Barry Allen, aka The Flash. It's kind of a strange pairing, but definitely an interesting one, and one that's sort of been foreshadowed before, but I always just think of Iris, so that's just me. Nora and Hunter also appear to be in a romantic relationship in the Legacy story in which they both appear. Nora can tap into the Speed Force but does not seem to possess a Green Lantern ring like her mother. Number 3, Polaris. While some might think of Magneto as more of a villain and therefore not one of the X-Men, he has been a member on and off throughout his history and has even led teams both within and without the main continuity. His daughter Lorna Dane and himself have one of the most strained relationships of all of the X-Men and their kids. This has been highlighted recently and ultimately comes down to the fact that initially Magneto manipulated Lorna, keeping the truth of him being her father from her. Not a great start. Even when that fact was revealed to her, he still hadn't been the best dad, and Polaris has even called him out on this before in the comics, reminding him that he doesn't even really know her. Eesh. Still, the two teaming up together are able to perform some pretty powerful feats as both share the power of magnetism.
Number 2, Athanasia Al Ghul. Making her first appearance in the comics on Injustice 2 issue 3, Athanasia, she's referred to as the daughter of the Bat. Talia kept her as a secret from Bruce, because of course, that's how it works in this world always, so many secrets. But she let Damian become a hero and work with Bruce, so nice. Athanasia was a member of the League of Assassins. She came out of hiding after the fall of Superman's regime and worked with her mother and grandfather, Thomas Wayne. She was caught in El Diablo's explosion and wasn't shielded, presumed dead, until she popped up in Gorilla City after being resurrected from the Lazarus Pit.
Number 1, Hunter Prince. Hunter was birthed by Wonder Woman, but fathered by the Darkness, a cosmic force that comes to Earth after the Kindred battle against the Justice League. Hunter was adopted by Superman and Lois Lane, who Diana trusted the most to protect and love her son. Hunter, however, thinks that he was given away for being a boy. He was raised by the Kents and trained with them, as well as some other super children. The Darkness eventually eventually starts devouring the world though, and Diana simply can't contain it. The superheroes decide to hide their children on Mount Olympus, which was abandoned by the Olympian gods, and the Kents are then killed by the darkness. When Hunter later emerges, he finds a desolate world and does what he can to help those who remain. Later, he travels back in time 20 years to seek help from the Justice League, eventually reuniting with Diana and confronting her about abandoning him. And Superman allows him to stay at his home.